Hey everyone, this is Sharad, and today in this video we are going to explore how caching works. This will be a deep dive, so stay with me, and we are going to talk about lots of production use cases when to use caching and what kind of caching to do in different kind of scenarios. So let's jump into why do we actually need caching, right? The reason behind caching. So the reason behind having caching is to speed up, save cost. These two are the major factors which come into play. This will save you a lot of money, right? And this will save you users. Your users you know will grow faster if your user experience is good. So this is the reason behind caching. It saves you cost, it saves you user loss. Now what is caching? Let's take an example, right? Suppose this is a database, and then you want to talk to this database using an application, right? You have this application on your device, which is doing something, which is fetching something, right? And then you have users, right? Users which are actually using that application. Now what do you experience when you have to wait more than few seconds, even a few seconds, like more than 2 seconds on a website? You would just want to stop using it, right? So that's a bad UX, right? That's a bad UX. Then there's another factor. What if there are multiple users of your application? What happens then? They all send request to this particular website or application, and through which your backend gets filled with lots and lots of requests. So the major pain point is your database is getting overloaded due to lots of requests, right? And this is like getting overloaded with queries, right? Now let's just take this and figure out a way to how to improve this scenario, right? You have lots of users here. So user 1, let's just user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, and user 5, and lots of users, right? And this is your application there, right? Suppose this is your database there, right? Now there is interaction going on between users, right? And they are sending lots of queries. What happens is, when they are sending lots of queries, your application is also generating lots and lots of SQL queries, right? Lots and lots of SQL queries. As a result, what happens is this DB, the queries that we get here has cost involved. The more queries you get, the more cost you have, because it's all up to the amount of queries we have. And this is the place where we get the most amount of load in terms of cost, as well as analysis and the time taken. Now what do we want to do is we want to put a layer between our users, right, and the application, so that we can reduce this cost. So it can be in multiple ways. Suppose this is your browser, right? Now you are going through the browser, right? So suppose these requests are getting forwarded through your browser. Application is storing some of the data locally, so this will reduce our cost, right? For example, they are storing your profile details. Then the application will not have to go to the backend to fetch that profile data. There might be the case when you want to update the profile, we are not taking that into account, but yeah, it will save you the request. So this request won't happen in actual life. This saves you cost. Imagine this being multiplied to 10,000 queries, 10,000 requests, and then your DB was saved from these many queries. So it's a save for you, right? Now there are two advantages of these kind of layers. This is client side caching. Client side caching means in a browser. It can be your application. When application is used, it can be like device storage. In Android and iOS, they have internal, for example, in Android, there is shared preferences, and sometimes data is saved in local storage, for example, in WhatsApp, right? Those messages are there. So that saves a lot of time and cost as well, and improves the user experience as well. So this is what client side caching is. Now there is another layer to it, which is we cache the data we get from the database. So now we add another layer between database and our application. There are different ways to do it. We are just taking an example. So this is cache. Now cache is taking to and fro, right? I'll just make it less than that. So we only have a single query, for example. Now if these many users were on, suppose, FIFA World Cup is going on, right? Now they want to fetch the scores, right? Now imagine there are like 5 million requests, right? So these are coming from the users to the cache and to the database. Then what we can do is we can just save the score for a single user request and then serve the current score from that particular cache. Suppose this is a cache and this is where the score is stored. Now only a single user requested score from your application. Application sends a request gets through the cache. We did not found it in the cache goes to the database, gets the score, saves it, and then sends it back to the application. Then application sends it back to the user. Now if there are suppose 5 million users, now what will happen is these 5 million users will get served from the same score that we have right now, but this score can be updated behind the scenes by a service which can be cron job, or it can be also real time. So there can be any kind of logic which is filling up this cache, right, this particular cache from the database, and the users that we have are getting served from the same exact request for all the users, for all 5 million users. So now this saved you a lot of money. So 5 million requests just got saved, right? 5 million requests. Now this is a major advantage, and these users get the data instantly, right? So this is a major pain point in many of the applications, right? And this is where the advantage is, right, that you can serve the data instantly using cache, and then you can also save the money. So 5 million requests got saved. So this was all caching part, and these can be of multiple kinds, which we will discuss in the next video. And this will be a kind of series where I will be sharing multiple diagrams. I don't like those perfect diagrams, so I switched from those slide kind of diagrams, those videos, to hand-drawn ones, because this is where we can understand it much more easily. If you have any suggestion about anything in the video, you can just tell me, and I will try to improve on that. Thank you, and let's see you in the next video.